Hey guys, Foxdrop here. Today I wanted a video talking about a hidden OP jungler for this patch 6.18. Also someone will be seeing at Worlds as well. Now I know that the title of this video may have triggered some of you guys already. I know that there's a bit of a connotation whenever you say something's hidden OP. It's kind of, you know, all talk and not really much content. Maybe it's a bit exaggerated. There's actually two reasons why I've stuck firmly with this hidden OP title here. Firstly, I actually think this champion, which you can see here, is Evelyn. I think Eve is actually hidden OP. I think she's really underrated, and she's kind of not been played at all this season. And in this patch, I actually think she's maybe even top 5 in the jungle. She's really good. Like, if she's not top tier, she's at least a tier below it, depending on who you ask. I also wanted to do a like a hidden pun because she's Eve and she's, you know, so that was. So talking about what we're going to be doing in the video today, what I want to do today is I want to talk a bit more about like where she came from, like why is Eve strong now, what does Eve bring to the table that she didn't do before, why is she being played, that malarkey. And outside of that as well, I also want this video to serve as a bit of a guide, showing you what you can do to play Eve, how you play Eve, how you should be playing her, that kind of thing. So first thing I want to talk about, where the bloody hell did Eve come from, which is probably a question you'll ask a lot of times during a game if you ever play versus Eve, because she's invisible and she's going to gank you from everywhere and you won't be able to see her coming. As with everything in League, whenever things start coming out of the woodwork a little bit, there's obviously a lot of factors that play into it, and one of the big ones is other things around them, other things that, like the things that were preferred to be chose over them, they get nerfed. Now if you think about this season, there have been so many jungle nerfs. A lot of junglers aren't as good as they used to be. That's what happens, right? And even recently you had the Rek'Sai and the Gragas nerfs, and those were like arguably the two strongest junglers, especially in competitive, and now they just got nerfed. And Gragas especially is looking like he won't be played at all. Rek'Sai is a bit of a question mark because she's Rek'Sai, you know, she always shows up, but still, when these other champions get nerfed, the weaker champions by comparison become stronger. Eve has been victim to that a bit as well, and on top of that she also received a little bit of buffing herself, so that helps too. The build which is really good on Eve now is like the Runic Echoes Proto Belt build, which is, you know, probably one of the biggest reasons why she's strong now. So what does Eve bring to the table, and why would you want to pick her in the first place? So Eve is a champion who is just ridiculously unique in the way she plays, a bit like Shad, who is ridiculously unique in how dumb he is. Andre Shadi is standing under my desk and getting himself caught in my headset wire. I was actually watching TV last night with my dad downstairs, and I heard loads of thumping upstairs, and I came upstairs to see what it was, and it was Shad. He was caught on my headset wires and just like thumping around trying to escape. Either way, we now got, it's now Foxdrop and Shad. It's now a two-man show. We're now duo queuing for this video. So Eve is very unique as a champion because of her stealth, right? I know that sounds quite obvious, but there is no other champion that brings to the table what Eve does as far as that goes. So the thing with Eve, you can't really ward against her. So it's really hard to know where Eve's gonna be unless you're thinking about it really smartly. Other champions, you can feel safe against them because if you've got good vision, you know, okay, I'm more or less safe, I'll see him coming. Eve, you're not really going to see coming unless you've got a lot of pink wards down, and solo queue doesn't tend to have a lot of pink wards. Good luck getting every single teammate in solo queue to buy a pink. So Eve just kind of bypasses a lot of that, and Shad's going to sleep in my armpit, that's nice. Eve bypasses a lot of that vision game, so it's almost psychological when you play against Eve, and it also means when you're playing as Eve, you can get a lot of stuff going down, more than other junglers can do. And she applies heavy amounts of pressure in the early game, and it also enables her to snowball really hard, because if people want to see where Eve's coming from and stop her ganks, hello Shay, good morning, then they have to buy pinks, and if you're behind and you're snowballing against a team that is behind, then they're not going to be able to afford to keep buying those pinks, right? So she snowballs really heavily. So that's what Eve is really nice at, and even in that kind of mid and late game, she also starts fights really well, and she can act as an assassin as well. I'll talk more about that later on when I tell you how to actually play her, but she does actually bring a lot to the table. I hate playing against Eve, it's frustrating as hell, but she does bring a lot. Are you going down now, Shad? Okay, there you go, Shad. I'm sure we'll hear him smashing himself about somewhere soon. So, how do you play Eve jungle? Runes of Masteries. Runes, you either want to go for 80 reds or attack speed reds, and then armor, yellows, AP blues, AP quints. That's just what I would recommend. I think that's like pretty safe. And Masteries, you can do a lot of different things. So, these different people do different things depending on their personal preferences, but what I would recommend, what most people tend to do, is they go for the Thunderlords, right? But you can go Strength of the Ages if you want to, but you know, this really, it doesn't really matter what you do. Thunderlords is just an easy one, so I would just go for that. And as far as what really brings Eve into like what makes her strong, I was talking about the item build, is you want to go for that Runic Echoes into Proto Belt. Now what you get outside of that is kind of up to you, and that's what also makes Eve good as well, is that she can mold herself a little bit to what the team needs. She can function quite well as one of these AP off tanks, or even just quite a heavy tank if she really wants to. You know, you go Runic Echo's Proto Belt and then just like really tanky items like Banshees, Dead Man's Plate, GA. Like you can go proper tank if you want to, or you can go for these AP off tanks like Riley's, Zonya's, Abyssal. That's more what I would lean towards doing. I would recommend that more. But you can even just go for like proper full-on hard assassin Eve, like Lichbane, Medjai's, Deathcap. You could do that if you want to do that, you know. Like Eve can do a lot of different things. It's nice to be able to have that ability to adapt to what your team needs. So how do you play Eve? Early game, what you want to do for Eve, the biggest weakness for Eve is the very early game, because she takes a lot of damage when clearing and is quite vulnerable to the other strong early game junglers. So you need to be kind of careful when you're clearing. I would recommend getting a Hunt's Potion if you're really struggling, but once you get some levels, especially once you get that Runic Echoes, you're fine. You don't have to worry about it. You want to focus mostly on like surviving your jungle clear and then going to gank as much as you can. Like Eve's all about the ganking. That's what she's really good at doing. So play around your ganks, but do know that you don't have any CC or a gap closer, so you can't force ganks too well. You have to be a bit smarter about it. Use the fact that you're invisible to your advantage. It's all about the invisibility, so you've got to just sneak through a lane or maybe lane gank or something like that. It's not about the CC, it's about your positioning. It's not about how you play the gank itself. Chad, can you get off my light? This silly little mutt. You know, that's what it's about. So that's what you got to be careful, and that's how you got to do your ganking. In the mid game, you can still gank if you want to, depending on how like the game's going. But if lane phase is over, then chances are, especially if you're ahead in the game, you want to look for opportunities to either start small skirmishes, which is pretty good at doing, or to catch people out of position. Say you've got like taken the bot lane tower, and then their AD carries just farming in the bot lane. It's really easy for you to catch that person out of position, just because you can like run through the lane or something like that. You know, it's really hard. That the later the game goes on, the more the map opens up, because the less towers there are, and towers obviously see stealth. So it's easy to do it if the towers are down, because the game's gone on a little bit. Like it's easy for you to find people out of position without them being able to see you, because they're not going to have pink wards down to cover every single move, and the towers aren't going to be able to protect them as much. So catch people if you can, start small skirmishes, but aside from that, just farm up as well, because Eve is pretty good at farming once she gets that Runic Echoes. Especially the more items you get, the more AP you get, the faster your farm, because AP is damage, and damage is faster clears. So make sure you keep up your farming as well. And then in the late game, similar things as what you want to do in the mid game, but also don't be afraid to start team fights, because that is what Eve is really, really good at doing with the flanks. If she can flank with stealth and then use her ultimate on like loads of different people, I'm keeping my eye on Shad because I know he's blocking my lighting here. Shad, can you just get away from my lighting? Go on, Shaddy. Hello. Yeah, this way. Okay, you're still in the way, whatever. Flanking people with your ultimate and just getting as many people as you can in that ulti is a really, really good way to start a fight. And then just go for the backline. She's very good at killing the backline. It's really hard to get away from an Eve as well, depending on, especially if it's one of these like low mobility AD carries, or there's not got a particular amount of peel, or you catch them by surprise, which you can do as well. Even if you're not the person to initiate the fight, you can sneak in behind and just kill the AD carry or something like that. Be careful if you start the fight that you don't just die. You can be kind of tanky, off tanky on Eve, but chances are if the whole team turns around on you, you'll die anyway. Your ultimate doesn't give you a shield, but it's nothing special, especially in a situation where 5 people are turning around on you. You know, if you've got Zonyas, you might survive for a bit longer, you know, but it's not ideal for you to be turned on by everyone. But still, that's basically all it is to play Eve, you know, just focus on those things, focus on the ganking in the early game specifically, and this build, this Runic Echoes Pro Belt build, very good snowballing build. So if you can get ahead, keep applying that pressure, and you should be sorted. Side note as well, be careful about face checking wards if you think there could face checking bushes, sorry, if you think there could be a pink ward in there, because if there's a pink ward there, the enemy team's going to see you coming and they could collapse on you. Be careful if you think that, just think before you face check a bush, think, okay, if there is a pink ward in this bush, could I get caught out and die? If the answer is yes, don't face check it. If you see like the enemy jungler's top lane and you can see the laners as well, then it's fine to stomp the ward, of course, but just be careful. So that's what I want to say for this video, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to give it that cheeky thumbs up down below. You can also leave a comment, tell me what you thought. Subscribe to me for more content like this. You can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, and catch me streaming at twitch.tv/Foxdrop. All those links are down below in the description. Most importantly, boys and girls, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, amazing, great day, and I will see you in my next video.